And Andrea Mitchell joins us now. Andrea, you knew Secretary Rumsfeld, in fact, sparring with him at times during interviews. What are some of your recollections as we learn of his passing?
Well, first of all, very, very sad passing for the family, for his wife, Joyce. He was completely devoted to his wife, to his family. He died surrounded by family in Taos, New Mexico, which was a beloved place for him. From my understanding, he had been suffering from a very virulent form of cancer, multiple myeloma, according to friends. He had been, as you know, a college wrestler at Princeton. He was a very tough guy. He was described by Richard Nixon as being ruthless. He was known as being very tough in the Ford White House. He brought Dick Cheney into the Ford administration, who eventually succeeded him as chief of staff when he became defense secretary for his first tour. He was widely blamed for he, along with former vice president, for, of course, the incorrect analysis of the weapons of mass destruction, and that was very controversial in the Iraq War, and for the decisions after the invasion, the successful invasion of Iraq and the pursuit to Baghdad, as you'll well recall, Lester, for the decision to dismiss the Ba'ath Army, basically Saddam Hussein's army, and to bring Bremer in, who ignored a lot of State Department advice as to how to try to deal with Iraq after the invasion. And that was eventually what led to him actually being fired from the cabinet the day after the 1986 midterms, when George W. Bush finally decided to turn against him. And that, of course, created a rift between President Bush and his vice president, who was very loyal to Don Rumsfeld and had been part of a lot of the decision-making that Don Rumsfeld was being held responsible for. So there was a lot of controversy towards the end of his long career, but he also was a heralded figure and a very successful businessman when he was in the private sector as the head of G.D. Searle, a major pharmaceutical company. It was enormously successful as a business leader as well in the private sector. So certainly a mixed public record, but known as a devoted father, husband, and a very loyal Republican and a very tough guy in terms of the internal politics of the George W. Bush administration.
You know, he left an indelible mark, certainly, on where we are today.
Absolutely.
In terms of the landscape and the political landscape in the Middle East. Did he ever acknowledge miscalculations leading up to the war in Iraq and some of those decisions you noted that were made during the war?
I don't know if he did privately, but I certainly know that publicly he did not. And he wrote a memoir which did not acknowledge any of those widely believed missteps in terms of the prosecution of the war at the time. Also want to note that he was, as much as he was a very partisan combatant in that foreign policy arena, he was very bipartisan in a lot of his friends and colleagues. He would have a family Christmas party every year and invite the press corps to his Christmas parties at his home in Kalorama here in D.C. So he was very much a mixed and very colorful figure.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.